Shea, you've always said that you wanted to be that guy that your team depended on, and now you're an NBA Finals MVP. How were you made for this moment?
A lot of hard work, a lot of hours in the gym. This isn't just a win for me. This is a win for my family. This is a win for my friends. This is a win for everybody that was in my corner growing up. This is a win for the fans, the best fans in the world. Love you guys.
To send the Thunder home. Lillard, long-range three, and it's good at the buzzer!
This was the catalyst for the greatest rebuild in NBA history. Let me explain. This shot didn't just end the game. It ended the series. The Trailblazers won. The Thunder lost. This seemed like the breaking point. Paul George wanted out, and he got exactly what he wanted. The Clippers gave up a massive haul, multiple first-round picks, Danilo Gallinari, and a rookie guard named Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. This trade was seen as a win for the Clippers and made them instant title favorites in the eyes of many, because it also helped them sign the reigning Finals MVP, Kawhi Leonard. Everyone thought a championship would be the result of this trade, and that's true, but the championship didn't belong to the Clippers. It belonged to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and just 6 years after the trade, they rebuilt a potential dynasty. They are the second youngest team to ever win a championship, and with their cap situation, they're the best positioned team to repeat since the 2017 Warriors. This is scary. A team this young should have never made it, but here they are despite that. Now, I've already talked about the trade that got them here, so let's shift the focus and talk about their journey. This was the beginning of a new era. There was no more Russell Westbrook. Kevin Durant left a long time ago, and James Harden's time here was short-lived. But it was remembered. All of them will be remembered. But time doesn't stop for anybody. So let's stop reminiscing on the past and focus on where this team is headed.
SGA trying to size up Russell. Oh, what a sexy move!
This team was fun. This team was energetic. This team was led by one of the greatest point guards of all time, Chris Paul, and he was mentoring the future MVP of the league, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. At the time, though, SGA wasn't seen in the same light as he is now. He was just another young rising star, promising, but not yet special. Nobody looked at him and thought, MVP, except maybe the most optimistic Thunder fans. He was good, yes, but he wasn't averaging 30. He was averaging 19 points on a team that didn't have much expectations. They weren't expected to do anything that season actually. They were projected to miss the playoffs completely. ESPN had them finishing 13th in the West. But they shattered those expectations and solidified themselves as a playoff team as the season went on. They finished as the 5th seed in a shortened season. They weren't great, but they were good. And for this Thunder team, being good was seen as great, because this was an overachievement. But was this season really an overachievement? Or is this who they were from the beginning? This was a battle full of ups and downs. But ultimately, OKC didn't have enough. As currently constructed, they weren't close to their ultimate goal. But time heals all wounds. The only question now is, how long would it take for this one to close? That wound didn't seem like it would heal anytime soon, because the team got worse, and they did it on purpose. It was deliberate. Tanking was the goal, and tanking is exactly what they did. But to even get to that point, they had to move on from players that helped them win. Chris Paul, Dennis Schroeder, Danilo Gallinari, Steven Adams, all traded to different teams during the 2020 offseason. In return, they got more draft capital and expiring contracts. Everything was going according to plan, and part of that plan was losing. The following season, the Thunder weren't very good. They were tied for the 4th worst record in the NBA. But that was the point. SGA only played 35 games that year due to a foot injury. And without him, losing only got easier. They weren't trying to win, they were trying to rebuild. And that same mindset carried into the next season. They were losing intentionally. And at one point, it got so bad, they made history. They suffered the biggest loss in the history of the NBA, a 73-point blowout against the Memphis Grizzlies. It was embarrassing, but embarrassment only lasts for a moment. Because the Thunder weren't playing for wins. They were playing for what came after the losses. And after 2 long painful seasons, they finally had something to show for it. That stretch of losing led to key additions made through the draft. Those additions were Josh Giddey, Aaron Wiggins, Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, and Jalen Williams. The second one was spelled with an I, by the way. They also signed Isaiah Joe, a shooter who turned out to be a hidden gem. With every move, the vision became clearer. This young core was quietly starting to take shape. They had length, they had versatility, they had guys who could dribble, pass, and shoot. And most importantly, they had time. The losses weren't for nothing. They were building something special. This season, the Thunder showed they were headed in the right direction. They nearly doubled their win total from the 2022 season. They finished with a 40-42 record, which was enough to grab the last playing spot. And they did it all without Chet. Chet Holmgren was the rookie they drafted to make an immediate impact, but unfortunately a foot injury kept him out for the entire season. The fact they took a step forward without him was a great sign, because once he's healthy, his impact could be monumental. Now, the other rookie they drafted was Jalen Williams, and he was fantastic. He had a strong rookie campaign, making all-rookie first team while averaging 14 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. He played a big role in helping OKC reach the play-in tournament. This season was also the coming out party for SGA. He finished top 5 in MVP voting, was an all-star, and earned all-NBA first team honors, all for the first time. But enough of the praise. It's time for the postseason. The first game was against the Pelicans, on the road, in their home arena. It was win or go home, and OKC came out on top. The Pelicans fought hard, but SGA and Josh Giddey, yes, Josh Giddey, were too much for them. The duo combined for 63 points, 14 rebounds, and 13 assists. But what came after this was a massacre, and it wasn't in OKC's favor.
Edwards goes back door. Edwards gets inside. Beautiful layup. Off the steal. Edwards, three-pointer. Knocks it down. Throws it into Isaiah Joe. Can't get it. Who tracks it down? For the old man Conley. Towns up. Struggle there. It's a Minnesota mauling right now. A 29-point lead. So the playoff bracket is now complete. T-Wolves and Nuggets Sunday. You see the coaches there at half court embracing.
This was the end of their season, and as embarrassing as it was, it didn't break their belief. If anything, it just added more fuel to the fire, and they came back hungrier than ever. This season, the Thunder were elite. The return of Chet Holmgren made a clear impact, helping them secure the #1 seed in a loaded Western Conference. They also added a great rookie, Cason Wallace, who turned out to be a huge pickup. Jalen Williams also took a leap, and SGA kept producing at a high level, leading the team and stacking up individual awards along the way. This season felt like the Thunder's arrival, but the regular season is one thing, and the playoffs are another. This was a quick series, and without Zion in the mix, there was no question who was going to win. It was a sweep. Pretty impressive for the weakest #1 seed, right? Am I right, Shannon Sharp? Am I right?
Well, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. 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 2 minutes, 30 seconds
This series started off looking great for OKC. They won in blowout fashion in Game 1, but Dallas responded in Game 2 and evened things up. The series was now tied at 1 apiece, and it was headed to Dallas for a pivotal Game 3. This game was close, but Dallas defended their home court behind a masterclass from P.J. Washington. He led them in scoring with 27. It wasn't Luka, it wasn't Kyrie, it was P.J. Washington. Anyway, Game 4 was do or die for OKC, and for most of the game, it looked like they were dying, until SGA came to the rescue. He had a masterful game, killing the Mavericks with his mid-range shot making. In the Mavs, they did themselves no favors, missing nearly half of their free throws. OKC stole that game and kept the series alive, with the series headed back to OKC. But just because they were back in OKC didn't mean they were back in control. Dallas came in and took Game 5 in convincing fashion behind a 30-point triple-double from Luka. OKC was now on the brink of elimination, and in Game 6 they were so close to extending the series. But they didn't. It was unfortunate, because once again, their season was over. Their hopes of winning a championship weren't dead, but this season, they were. And the truth is, they weren't even supposed to be here. But a moment like this might be exactly what they needed. This season felt different. There was something in the air, and everyone felt it. Especially after the team replaced Josh Giddey with Alex Caruso and signed Isaiah Hartenstein in free agency. These were great veteran pickups, and the results in the regular season showed it.
That's been the difference here. What a spin move. And Gilgeous Alexander lays it up and in.
They were historic. They finished the season with 68 wins, the 6th most in the history of the league. They had the highest point differential in NBA history. They posted a net rating of 12.8, the 2nd highest of all time. They were a historically great defense, and their best player capped it off by winning both the MVP and the scoring title. They did all of this while missing time from key players throughout the season. If this team isn't ready to win a title, I don't know what team is. This was a massacre, and even though Ja Morant got hurt in Game 3, the result of the series would have been the same. It might have been delayed, but it would have been the same. This was the opposite of a massacre. In fact, the Thunder were the ones trying to hold off the Nuggets.
Second one for Holmgren. It rims out. Brown grabs it. 7 seconds left. Westbrook, 5 seconds. They're down by 1. Gordon got it. Aaron Gordon with a deep shot. Williams, 3-quarter court. No good. The Nuggets steal Game 1.
The Nuggets were relentless. They won Game 1 in a thriller after trailing most of the game. They won Game 3 in overtime, and they dominated OKC in Game 6 to force a Game 7. But all of that was for nothing, because every time Denver threw a punch, OKC swung back. And in Game 7, that same energy stayed true.
Ball stolen. A lot of contact. Caruso goes inside. A low-scoring affair here in Game 7. Under 2.5 remaining in the second. Williams lines up. Hits the 3. The Thunder right now in control. SGA connects on a 3. Well, the dreams of a title for the Thunder are still alive. OKC is going to the conference finals.
This series was domination, but it wasn't pure domination. I'll get to that later. In the first 2 games, OKC took a commanding 2-0 series lead, and SGA lifted his rightful MVP trophy on his home floor right before Game 2. The crowd loved it, but the Timberwolves remembered it. And when the series shifted to Minnesota, the the Timberwolves threw a haymaker, and it landed. The result was a 40-point blowout in Minnesota's favor. Yes, 40 points. But fortunately for the Thunder, that was the only punch that landed. In Game 4, OKC bounced back and pulled out a close win, led by Shea, J-Dub, and Chet. These three combined for 95 points, nearly 75% of the team's total output. And with that, the series was headed back to Oklahoma City.
Off the bounce, Caruso knocks it away, comes up with a steal, throws it back, and Gilgeous-Alexander. SGA layup is good.
That opened up for Jalen Williams. That helped gave him more space, and another steal.
Wallace gets inside, lays it up. Nice fake. Pass deflected and stolen. SGA down a lane, throws it down. More defense to offense. Well, the magical season continues. The Oklahoma City Thunder are going back to the NBA Finals.
This was a special moment for the Thunder. They were crowned Western Conference champions, and SGA was named Western Conference Finals MVP. But it meant nothing to them because they hadn't achieved their ultimate goal. The sound of only being Western Conference champions doesn't really have a ring to it. Both teams worked their whole lives for this moment. Both teams were hungry. Both teams wanted a ring. It was the biggest stage most of these players had ever been on. And unfortunately for the Thunder, their inexperience showed at the absolute worst time.
Halliburton looking. Halliburton driving. Pulls up. Jump shot. It's goal with 0.3 of a second remaining.
They let go of the rope too early and gave the Pacers life. And unfortunately for them, the Pacers took this opportunity and grabbed their first lead of the game with 0.3 seconds remaining. This is the definition of a game being stolen, and the Pacers were awarded with the victory. The Pacers now held a 1-0 series lead, but we all know what happened in Game 2. Oklahoma City dominated. They won this game by nearly 20 points, and the series was now tied at 1 apiece. Now, with the series headed to Indiana for a pivotal Game 3, the Pacers swung back, and they landed the hit. They won a close game, led by Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam, who combined for 43 points, 15 rebounds, and 15 assists. They were just 2 wins away from an NBA championship, but 2 wins is a long way from winning it all. The next 2 games were won by OKC. Game 4 was won in the last few minutes with some extraordinary shot making and defense by the Thunder, and Game 5 was just domination. The Thunder led for the majority of the game, and even when it got close, just moments later, it wasn't. Game 5 should be known as the J-Dub game because he scored 40 as a second option and had one of the most masterful performances you will ever witness. SGA played great too, but J-Dub stole the show. Now, the Pacers are on the brink of elimination. How will they respond? They responded. They responded with a haymaker, and they landed it. The Pacers won by nearly 20 points. It was a complete team effort. No one scored over 20 points, but everyone contributed. Now, the series is tied at 3 apiece, and just like that, everything comes down to one final game. It's time for
the best 2 words in sports. Game 7.
Game 7s are special. They have special moments. And
Good contest from Dort. Halliburton falls down. He looks hurt. Here comes SGA the other way. Inside, and Williams throws it down. Halliburton's hurt.
that's really unfortunate. Prayers up to my boy Tyrese. But unfortunately, the show must go on. And it did. As the game went on, you could see the Pacers quickly lose the lead in the second half and eventually lose the game because of the absence of Tyrese. TJ McConnell went on a crazy run in the third quarter, but no one else stepped up. They couldn't. The suffocating Thunder defense forced 21 turnovers, a plus 14 turnover advantage in favor of OKC. All of that helped the Thunder win Game 7 and ultimately the NBA championship. Now, I'm not going to say the Pacers definitely would have won if Tyrese didn't get hurt, because that's not the truth. OKC deserves respect. Chet Holmgren was amazing defensively. SGA was amazing all around. J-Dub had phenomenal performances, and Alex Caruso was the perfect glue guy. Everyone on OKC did their job to the highest degree, and that's exactly why they now stand on the top of the NBA world.
All right, let's do it.